Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Let's Talk Office Politics. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, and I am your anchor on Let's Talk Office Politics. And Let's Talk Office Politics is your lunch hour program that focuses on office politics and specifically helping people who are challenged by the phenomenon called office politics. Well, we said lunch hour in the hope that you'll be able to grab your lunch and participate, while you are relaxing. I guess a good way to make good use of your lunch hour. All right. Fortifying yourself to succeed in your career, taking the advantage to listen to others, just like your good self. Or maybe even having, the opportunity or the boldness to put forward a question or another, so that you can have answers to them. This is the inaugural session of Let's Talk Office Politics, and it's my pleasure to anchor this series. This is coming to you from the Office Politics Champions Group. If you are interested, you may want to join that group. It's on a major platform. It's also on WhatsApp, and there we also have additional discussions. So welcome. And today I'm just going to use the opportunity to give us an idea of what we'll be doing, so that you know that when you come, this is the menu that you would be served. All right, I have a bit of experience, okay, in the workplace or career experience, about 40 years plus now, more than half of that in the banking industry, where, I rose to virtually just before the executive director level. And so have seen a bit of politics, okay? And from there, went on to do other things, still some in the corporate segment, others, on private basis, all the while also getting involved in different settings. Served 8 years in the university on the board of Covenant University, served as chairman of, a stockbroking firm, Global View Capital, a few other engagements like that. So I've seen politics, office politics at very, very close range. I have played it. And I guess, I have a story to tell that all the while it has worked pretty well for me. And that's because thankfully, I wasn't naive about it. I had an understanding very early on in my career. And so I knew, that things just don't happen. Things will not just fall into place. Yes, I can do great work, but it takes more than doing great work. It takes more than achieving, my challenges or my targets, in order to realize my goals and objectives, in my career. And, thereafter, I have observed with a lot of people the attitude towards, the politics of the workplace, and, different kinds of attitudes. But I guess a lot of them not surprising, because the average person, the attitude to office politics isn't particularly great. A lot of negative things are said about it. And I've found that that comes from a lack of understanding of what it entails, actually, because typically office politics is not what many people interpret it to mean. And many wish that, it will not be there. Many loathe the fact that they have to contend with it. Many wonder, why must there be politics, in a place where merit is supposed to be topmost priority? And it's interesting when you hear remarks like that, because it's as though meritocracy cannot exist, or coexist with politics. And that's not true. Nothing can be further than from the truth, at least within the context, of office politics. The beauty of office politics is that it's not a democracy. So, people are not putting themselves forward formally to be voted for or voted against. All right. So it's not up to the the generality of the people to determine what exactly, you know, they get at the workplace. Okay. The forces and the interplay of forces are completely different. All right. And thankfully so. And that's why I said, meritocracy, and the politics of the workplace do not necessarily, are not mutually exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive. Hopefully, as we proceed in our series, we'll be meeting, by the way, every Wednesday, just for 45 minutes. And it's to give you an opportunity, principally an opportunity for you to ask me any question in this area. And of course, while waiting for questions, I will prepare myself to speak on one issue or the other. All right. So on one of those occasions, I would address the issue of, meritocracy within the context of politics, within the context of office politics. And certainly, meritocracy is accommodated within the context of office politics. In fact, if I might add, there's something I call a silver bullet, all right, that you can engage to play and win in this game. And that silver bullet is actually pro meritocracy in a sense, than against it. All right. So you find all kinds of reactions in the workplace from people. Some have a problem with playing the politics, with contending with the politics because of their faith. Well, Christians say they are believers. Office politics is evil. We're not supposed to get involved with it. I wonder what, the Muslims will say. I haven't quite encountered, those kinds of comments from, people from that group. But I guess, if they have the same kind of feelings, well, maybe it's understandable as well. But like I ran a seminar, a discovery masterclass, recently, just on Saturday. It was focused on addressing the concerns of, Christians, believers. And the title of that was The Bible's Guide to Overcoming, office politics. So there I dealt sufficiently with the concerns that Christians would have or believers would have, handling or navigating the politics of the workplace. All right. It's usually not what people think. And so it's important for, people to get knowledge, to seek understanding. All right. Because when you do, you really empower yourselves. Many times I have seen people attend, programs like these that I run. I had a series some time ago, again, maybe I'll put that up once more. The focus was 15 reasons to play and win at office politics. And over 1,000 people at different times went through that program. It was free, of course, and many of them professionals. And a lot of comments came. Wow, these are things I should have known 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And in the course of that, I met different people, people who had spent 20 years, 20 plus years, and were still at relatively low levels. And some other people, who even joined the organizations, who in fact started their career journeys, all right, much later than they had since risen to very top levels. What's the difference? Is it that they were not doing good work, or they were not, performing? Oh, no, it wasn't. All right. Usually the difference is in knowledge. Usually the difference is in the fact that, somebody was doing something that the other person wasn't doing. And in doing something that the other person wasn't doing, the person was trading the knowledge that he or she had, acquired. So it's down to knowledge. It's down to putting your knowledge to work. It's down to ensuring that, you differentiate yourself in very strategic ways. All right. And when you do so, I mean, you can't be treated the same way as the other person who wasn't acting, according to knowledge. And so a lot of people, you know, um, you just be amazed that, so what were you waiting for? 15 years, 10 years, 20 years? And, only to discover now from just one session of maybe max 90 minutes that you've wasted a lot of your years. I mean, it's not just wasting time. I mean, wasting so many years, wasting so many years. And it doesn't have to be that way. And many of them come to discover there is nothing evil about this game. This game is natural. This game is going nowhere. All right. And, one of the things they actually see is that they haven't taken responsibility for their careers the way they ought to have. They discover they have been naive. They discover they have been negligent because they didn't place a lot of emphasis on acquiring political intelligence. You see, a lot of people today talk about emotional intelligence. You hear it all over the place. So people recognize the importance of emotional intelligence, and a lot of people talk about it. All right. Even though I've also found that many people don't quite understand it, and how it works, and the purpose to which, they can put it. But the interesting thing is that, they often do not talk about political intelligence, which in fact has been acknowledged to be more important than emotional intelligence when it comes to excelling in your career, when it comes to rising to the top in your career. I mean, a possession of political intelligence or political savvy, has been established clearly in research that it is a primary and priority, all right, a skill that you require to succeed in your career. If that is the case, why would anybody want to neglect it? Why would anybody want to neglect it? Shouldn't you find out what really is political intelligence? All right. What is it all about? Why is it necessary? Okay. Interestingly, there's a nexus between emotional intelligence and political intelligence. Why? Because political intelligence also, has you dealing with different stakeholders who are people, who are human beings, all right, within the same sphere, of operation. It's like there are stakeholders within your community, and each one is trying to get something for himself. All right. Each one is trying to muster influence and to gain power. All right, so that they can realize their various objectives. And, in order for you to do a good job of that, all right, emotional intelligence is important, because emotional intelligence empowers you to make the most of your interactions with people, of the relationships that you have with people. All right. But it's only a subset of political intelligence. But if you are, to be politically savvy, all right, you will need, okay, to be, to have dexterity in the area of emotional intelligence. But having emotional intelligence does not immediately make you politically savvy. All right. You need much more than emotional intelligence to be able to play this game called office politics and win. All right. So this is how these things play out. These are the challenges that people have. And, this is why I thought, okay, let's give yet another channel, through which we can accommodate, all right, people who need help in this area. And these are difficult times. These are trying times the world over, all right? Corporations, small businesses, different, whatever they tire, everyone is going through pretty hard times, all right? In Nigeria, where I'm a resident, it's a tug of war. I mean, two critical policies have been implemented that have really shaken the foundation of the society. The economic power of people is being contended for by those policies, as it were. The deregulation in the foreign exchange market and also removal of subsidies, or at least, so we're told that is still, a tug of war right there. And only as recent as yesterday, the price of fuel, was increased again by as much as 40 or 45%. Okay. And that may not be the last. And what do all of these things tell us? It tells us that corporations will come under significant pressure. All right. Corporations will come under significant pressure. And, a lot of them will be looking at cutting costs. A lot of them will be striving in order to survive. They're going to feel the effect of, all of these challenging policies. They're going to feel the effect. And these are the things that tend to lead to what? They tend to lead to, rethinking, all right, their workforce. Almost always, you would find these companies, getting into belt tightening initiatives, some of which will require freezing promotions, in some cases, even cutting down, on their headcount, and people may lose their jobs and all of that. But the reality of such situations also is that while some people are losing their jobs, others will keep their jobs. All right. And so again, the decision as to who stays and who leaves may become a political issue. It may become a political issue. I mean, I am sure that there are people who will be adversely affected. They may be rationalized, and they would say that they were played, all right, by office politics. Because if my experience is anything to go by, the people will identify, they will blame management, they will accuse management, of favoritism, that there are people who should not stay that are staying, is the people who has been contributing, that are losing their jobs. Well, the issue is, how come some people, all right, have the clout or put themselves in a situation where, while many are losing their jobs, all right, they are able to stay? Why are you not putting yourself in the situation? Didn't you see that situations like that may arise? Didn't you see some of these things coming? And these things are happening right now, all right, all across the world, like I said, and particularly, in Nigeria where we are. And, still a lot of employees will be playing the sentiment card. This is not time for sentiments. This is time for intelligence, intelligent play at the workplace. All right. People comprise the workplace. Nothing happens at work without people. People make the decisions, take the decisions. They determine what happens. All right. People determine what happens. So the issue is you want to be affected, or you don't want to be affected. How does that work? All right. How does that work? How does that work? Because it's going to boil down to who do you know? How are you perceived? All right. How significant is your personal brand? What relationships do you have? And all of that. Okay. So it's not too late. All right. For you to learn. I had a case of someone, and, she was pretty humble. And I salute her courage every time I think about her, and I had a session, on office politics like this, and she listened. And after the session, she reached out to me privately to say, look, I need help. And, telling me her story. She had been around working, in the banking sector 24 years, and she was still not yet a manager. And there had been different opportunities based on the things that she heard me say. She came to the conclusion that, oh, now I understand why things have been pretty slow, because, she had made the same kind of mistakes that people generally make when it comes to the game of office politics. They just hold back. They want to be on their own. They want to focus on doing their work. They believe so much in doing great work, achieving their targets, performing according to what they're expected to do, and feel that once they do that, the system should reward them. It is one of the, it's a common thing. And a lot of people get disappointed that the system does not quite reward, just what you regard as doing your job well. Okay. There is more to how the system works, how the system identifies who to reward and what kind of reward to give than you have come or to understand, or that you have taken, the responsibility to understand. All right. And, I took her through some sessions. In fact, she had, one graduate daughter and another son in his final year, and she had to bring them along with a friend, all right, to attend those series of sessions that I gave to her on a private basis. It was interesting, when she mentioned that she was going to bring her children. And, thinking about it, I thought it was a great idea. I mean, it wasn't my idea. It wasn't my suggestion. She just thought that she didn't want them to make the same mistake that she had made. It had taken her 24 years to realize that she hadn't played, her career game properly. All right. She ought to have been far ahead of where she was, if only she had not, all right, you know, uh, um, uh, displayed the kind of attitude towards the politics of the workplace like she had done if only she had taken time to learn, all right, how the dynamics of the workplace and to understand that politics is going nowhere and to understand that politics is going nowhere. So, the reason for this platform is I know there are many people out there that continue to suffer these things, day after day. And the times are not getting easier. The times are getting more challenging. And when the times are getting challenging, you know what they say, when the going gets tough, it's the time for the tough to get going. When the times are challenging as far as the economy is concerned and there's a squeeze, on purchasing power and all of that, what will happen is that the corporations begin to make adjustments. All right. A lot of pressure comes upon them, and some of those adjustments, almost always will affect people, All right. It would affect the promotions in terms of how many, are promoted, in terms of, how long it takes for anyone to get promotion, in terms of what are the criteria that they use, it would affect how you conduct your own pursuit of your interests. And you can't do all right, you need to be smart. Working, it's not so much about hard work anymore. While hard work is important, all right, it's about being smart in your approach, all right, to the management of your career. It's about being smart about the fact that politics at work is not going anywhere. You met it there. It's going to outlive you. You are going to leave it there. You're going to leave it there. There is no organization where you have people who have different interests, all right? And there will not be politics. None. All right? The way that every organization where you have these people, is structured is that everyone, is pursuing one interest or the other. And you'll be naive to think, that the interest of others is the same with yours. That's naivety. Even if both of you, all right, are employees, who told you that what I'm looking for is what you are looking for? All right. Like I often joke, some people are not looking to become the CEO. I may be looking to become the CEO. You may not, you may even be looking, at becoming a CEO, maybe in 20 years. I may want to become the CEO in 10 years. Do you think that our interests are the same? No. If you and I start work on the same level in this, company, all right, same day, and we're friends, we're able to make friends. Please make no mistake that we're still competitors. Because when openings come up, I'm not going to yield the seat to you. Nobody does that. All right? Nobody does that. So I'm playing my game. You had better be playing your game. Otherwise, the time is going to come and you're going to look at me as an enemy because I may have advanced, far ahead of you. And then you'll be telling stories. But we started on the same day. We even started in the same department. We even ate, we were very close and all of that. All of that at that point would be history. Yes, a part of history, great to understand, and to note. However, the question would be, what were you doing? How did you approach, your career? What was your friend doing? Did you take note that your friend was doing something else? All right. And whatever your friend was doing was not, evil, as some of us would, like to console ourselves. Oh, I can't do what they are doing. All right. I do play nice service, psychophants and all of that. Well, okay. And I don't encourage that. And have never, ever played that because it's not a sustainable strategy. It's not a smart strategy. And you don't have to in order to win at this game. You don't have to. All right. But they were doing something and you weren't doing anything. Not that it will carry them very far, but it may carry them further than you. It may carry them further than you. All right. But you must be certain. I mean, no one gets to very senior and very serious levels in any organization on the basis of eye service. If you ever thought that to be true, you better quit that thought. And nobody wants to risk. All right. Investors in a company don't want to risk their investment on the basis of, by having eye service people or sycophants in very top places as decision makers or as leaders. All right. The truth is that they have their use for them. They know what they use them for. All right. And they can only go so far. But that's not the game you want to play. All right. You want to go the whole hog. If you want to go the whole hog, there's a different way to play. It's not by folding your arms, and it's not by relying on your work and hiding in your cocoon, so much so that nobody knows you, expecting your work to speak, not knowing that work does not speak. All right. So these are the issues. These are the issues. This platform is being created as a channel for, people, whether you're just started or you're experienced or you are knocking the door, of the C-suite, or you just want to brainstorm, on what's going on, or to even assess your strength, where you are, all right, in the game, and your prospects for advancing to the highest levels in your career. That's why this channel is opened. That's why I thought of, establishing Let's Talk Office Politics. It's for you to come and ask questions, to seek help, to get counsel. It's for you to come and listen, all right, to what others are facing, to what's going on out there, to empower yourself so that you are well suited, all right, to realize your objectives. One of the things that over the years I've also come to understand is that, a lot of people begin their careers not because they wanted to pursue a particular career, but it was all about, ensuring they have a qualification, and something that can put food on the table or give them, prospects for becoming, somebody within the society. And so once they acquire all of those qualifications, the first thing they want to do is to get a job. And so it's all about getting a job. And when they get into the job, it's all about, yes, now let's begin to make progress. Let the checks, start rolling in and all of that stuff. But they seldom have a clear objective. All right, what do you want to achieve? Why are you in that place? How far do you want to go? All right. They don't understand that they are stakeholders at work in that organization. And as stakeholders, it's important that they have an interest. That's what makes them stakeholders. They need to define their interest because it's your interest that will determine how you play. It's the objectives that you have that will determine what you do and the extent that you're willing to go. And your guess is as good as mine. If you have no interest, if you have no clear objectives, then you're going nowhere. And so if you haven't defined that, you know what they say. If you have no destination, then anywhere you arrive will just be fine, will just be good enough. Well, the problem with that is that when they do arrive at certain destinations, they start complaining. All right? They don't like those destinations and they start complaining. At that point, they are now looking at others and seeing their colleagues, the destinations that their colleagues are headed and where they have arrived from point to point. And relative to where they are standing, they don't like what they see. And they start complaining. But is that a time to complain? No. It's a time to ask yourself the question, what have you been doing all this while? Were you really expecting to arrive somewhere else? Was that where you defined? Did you really have a goal? So that is one fundamental, aspect that in the how do we call it in the local parlance, we say that's one aspect that falls the hand of people. Ask many, what is your objective? Why are you working here? What do you want to make of this career? You'll be shocked that you won't even get. I mean, something that important, the response of people should be spontaneous. It's not something you want to be thinking about if you've really defined it. It's something that, very clearly, very confidently you express. And that would tell us, that you know where you're going and that most likely you have been doing something about it. Whether you are doing the right thing or not is a different thing. But you are still, if that is it, you are better off than people who don't even know where they're going, who can't even define where they're going. Yet the same people will complain about office politics. Somebody who, never defined where they were going, they will complain about office politics, and so these are the issues. Let's talk office politics. We'll be holding every Wednesday just for 45 minutes. We don't want to take a lot of your time. It's supposed to be a break, and it's supposed to just give you, and I call it coaching on the go. You have a few minutes, you put a call through. I have one or two people like that I coach. And it started out with, them just having access to me. And interestingly, they started out by attending, a program that I held on office politics and developed some relationships. So from time to time, while they're at work, or when they're away from work and they have issues, they just put a call through to me. This and this and this, asking, what do I think? How do I think? And all of that. That's why this was created. I remember, and maybe I would end today's session with this, someone, a senior person in the bank, one of the banks who had an issue. And I guess he wasn't expecting it. Suddenly, there was this query that came from the head office and all of that. And he somehow, I think it shook him. All right. It was supposed to be a high flyer. So where was this coming from? But it wasn't something to be taken lightly. And I just saw that, my phone be how this is what's going on. What do I do? And all of that. Didn't want to make any mistake. Thought that was a particularly sensitive issue and it could have very serious implications, and I guess he was wise enough to know that, things like this is important to seek counsel from people who have been there, who understand the dynamics. Well, long and short, we walked through it, prepared a reply. I looked at it, reviewed it, told him this and that, and other steps to take in addition, all right, to just responding. In fact, there are things to do before you respond to that kind of query, and there are things to do to incorporate in the query. There are things to do after you have responded to it, all right, so that You can really ensure that all the angles are duly covered. And, all of that was done within a pretty short period because, of course, queries, you don't have all the time in the world to answer them. They're usually, if you're not giving 24 hours, you're giving, 72 hours at the maximum. Well, so it was done. And, safe to say that that was where the matter ended, permanently. And I believe it's been great for him, since that time. That's part of the reasons why channels like this are open and why I would hope that everyone will take advantage of it. From those who are just starting off on their career, is the best time, all right, to have an anchor, to have access to counsel from people who have done it, all right. Like I said, 40 years of doing this thing, operating in different environments, contending with different kinds of people and different kinds of challenges and different kinds of interests, and having to resort to different strategies, there must be something that others can gain from whatever one has seen over the years. So I want to thank everyone that attended, this inaugural meeting. A number of people did register, but, maybe they haven't made up their mind yet, or they're probably waiting to watch the video replay. But, please feel free. You have heard what it's about. And if you think that is a good time to spend 45 minutes, your lunch break with, why not? Take advantage of it and, tell others as well that this is what is happening here. It's free for now, but they can as well take advantage of it. So subsequently, I'll be dealing with specific aspects of, the politics of the workplace. Next week, Wednesday, we'll be meeting once again. And, next week, Wednesday, I will speak on something apart from the questions that everybody may want to ask. I will speak on the fact, that nobody has ever risen to the top level anywhere without playing politics, Whether they did it consciously or inadvertently, let's talk about that. I will show you why, that statement is correct. But of course, you are better off, playing it consciously than playing it inadvertently. All right. You don't want to lend yourself, to a game of chance. All right. You want to be in control. You want to do something, that I'm doing this in order to achieve this. I mean, that's the best way to play this kind of game. Okay, so once again, thank you so much. If you have not, like I said, there is, a WhatsApp group. It's called the Office Politics Champion. Our discussions can continue there in between these Wednesday sessions. In addition, I also, have a nugget that I release every Monday, under the caption of Up Your Game. So I speak on some particular aspect, of the politics of the office every Monday. And very soon, I'll also be starting a newsletter, which I call the Champion, again, just to provide more and more resources to help people, out there navigate the often treacherous terrain, called office politics, to avoid the landmines, to be one of the champions, and hopefully, to show others, how to be champions also at work. Okay, that's what this is about. Thank you. We said 45 minutes, we didn't start quite on time, just a few minutes waiting for some people to join us, but 45 minutes will be 45 minutes, going forward. And so I hope that you enjoyed your lunch. I certainly did enjoy, just laying the foundation for future editions of what promises to be an exciting time. Together, let's grow the group, and empower ourselves for a brighter, career with lasting legacy. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu, and it's been my pleasure coming to you this afternoon on Let's Talk Politics. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.